Hello and welcome back to the last episode of this season's Become a God. And I was really torn on what to play for the last episode, but I did decide in the end to play Dilgarno's green-red Yakapult deck. Now I've just covered Dompork's green-red Yakapult deck, but they're quite different. This Dilgarno version is also using Crackthorn and using a lot of the Gift of Rakoa cards. And I did actually play against Dilgarno using this deck, and he played a very defensive strategy which reminded me of Green-Yellow Sacrifice, and then got that Yakapult down and used that as the win condition. Now, what's interesting to me is green-red is an archetype which is still in development, it feels. We've got the Salamander variant, we've got the classic Crackthorn variant, and we also have now this Crackthorn Salamander combo version created by Dilgarno. So I want to take this for a spin. I'm very interested to see how this plays out in comparison to Dompork's version, and it's also important to note that both these players got top 3 in the last Runin's Open, so great minds think alike, bringing these green-red decks to the tournament. So let's get into the matches and see how this deck performs. Alright guys, into our first game. Looking pretty good here actually. We've got the Recon Revel on turn 1, we can follow up with the Ground Shaker. I guess Gift of Rakoa is the only card we really want to throw away here. Doesn't really do much. Yakapult, not a good find, unfortunately, for this point of the game. But, you know, I think it's going to be fine as long as we don't play against Rush. And we see a Lake, so I'm not expecting some kind of Rush deck to show up. I wanted to take the... let's take the Explore. Let's just get on this well straight away. And then next turn we can go Mountain on Orb, into Ground Shaker, into Forest, and then we can start building around here. And like I said, when I played against Dilgarno, he played it in a very, like, Green-Yellow Sacrifice style. And I know I mentioned that in the intro, but what I mean is you kind of just defend around the side of your orb until you find your win condition, which in this case is the Yakapult. So a bit of a good start, actually. We got two Harvesters straight away. Fantastic. Can't complain about that. We do have the Battletoad in a dangerous position. A Soul Drain combo would really hurt here. I think I'm just gonna give up Collection for this turn and get a Ground Shaker down. Simply because I don't want to lose my Bone Collector. Bone Collectors snowball so quickly given the right situation, and they become a massive threat in themselves just for 2 Faeria. And I think that, yeah, keeping the Bone Collector alive is pretty worthwhile here. We have a follow-up of another Ground Shaker, which is pretty good. You know, we can just get a Ground Shaker down, we can finish off the rest of these frogs. There won't be any transform effects other than Phantasm, which won't be enough because it's only a 5 attack. And there won't be a Frogger fight either because, as you can see, there's not enough lands to get down there. And we get to clear the board. It's pretty good, really. Can't complain about that. I can get the Ground Shaker down here if I want to make sure I can cover this side of the board. I already have a Ground Shaker in this position, which is pretty good. So yeah, let's just get another Ground Shaker down, and there we have a nice clean board. 2 Ground Shakers, a Bone Collector, and a Reveler down. We're in a good position just to sit back, collect off our own wells, set up some more defensive lands, so we can get some defensive lands here and here, and then eventually take that middle slot and get that Yakapult down. And the nice thing about this playstyle with Blazing Salamander, which I come to realize more when seeing Dilgarno play it, is using that bit, just cluttering up in one corner, or just pulling all your creatures in, so you get these massive salamander combos. It's much easier to get value off this if your creatures are really tight together. So we've got 5. It's crazy. We've actually got 5 deserts down with 2 lakes. This is a good opportunity to dash this here. Stop the collection. And we just bring all these in. We don't need them together. I could have just actually mounted here or moved this back and played the Ground Shaker. So I'm still learning myself on how to play this deck and develop the lands. Actually, next time I think I'm just gonna just move, yeah, maybe just develop a land here instead, just to create better salamander situations in the future. So air elemental. I'm gonna take that Aurora. Okay, that's pretty good. Aurora in a nice situation. Unfortunately, I can't take advantage of the Bone Collector so much with a Salamander combo. And I do want to finish this off. So I think let's get a green here. This is where my Salamander is going to go. Let's stick this up here, challenge the Aurora. And then Bone Collector, unfortunately, is going to meet its end at the hands of this Air Elemental. I get +2 life, but the problem is it just still trades, which is a little unfortunate. I don't think there's a better way I can do this, actually. We can summon the Reveler here, we Salamander here, get the power-ups, and finish this off. Yeah, that looks like it's going to have to do for now. Which, to be honest, isn't that bad. You know, we managed to kill an Aurora target with an Emperor's Command with it. So it cost actually 6 Faeria to kill that Ground Shaker, which is pretty decent considering it did its job. And we did get to empower the Recurrent Reveler at least, which is also pretty good. It's a shame this Reveler couldn't move in and get the value as well, but we have plenty of Blazing Salamanders left over, so that shouldn't be too much of a problem going forward. Aurora's just going to move into a more defensive position, and then our next line is probably just double neutral here and just take the Yakapult and start chipping away at our opponent, getting those Yaks down on the field, which also increase the power of Gift of Recoa. So the more Yaks are on the field, the more dangerous they are as well, because you can just Gift of Recoa the Yaks himself. Right, we're going to move this up. We'll move this behind. Get that Yakapult down. Yeah, we can just sit here in a pretty good situation. Now, Desert Twister could be a threat. Could see Desert Twister come down and maybe Aurora's creation on Aurora to clear out my Yakapult. That is a possibility. But we'll see. Double neutrals across. Very interesting. Wind Soldier, Soul Drain? If it's Wind Soldier, it's a Wind Soldier from here. Collect a Faeria. Along the way. Colossus, okay. Very interested in the positioning of this Colossus. The dash is here, it's in the danger zone to the Ground Shake. I can just use the Ground Shake and the Reveler to finish it off. Absolutely fine. Alternatively, I can use the Reveler and the Salamander and then Firestorm, and then I kill everything, which is pretty good. We can +1 into Sagami Warrior in between the wells. I like that. That's actually pretty good. Yeah, let's do it. Boom. Take a draw. Don't even need a +1. Oh man, I should have drawn first. That's really bad. Where was my Reveler? Here. Yeah, I should have drawn first. So mistakes were made there. That's really sad. But I think we're still in a decent position. A complete board control. A Flight of the Mantas picked up there. Just because we know, because the extra card was generated. I can't see me losing from this position. I think I could have done that better. If I had drawn first, I could have picked up the Blazing Salamander, maybe figured out a more optimized way to do that turn. But everything still lined up quite well, so I'm pretty happy with how it turned out. But yeah, game number 1 looking pretty good against a very interesting land-heavy deck. Might have had Sky Whales, might have had Champions. It's hard to say. But let's get into our next game and see how we do. Alright guys, into another match. Looking pretty good at the start. We got the Bone Collector. Always want that turn 1 Harvester. It's absolutely fantastic. Ground Shaker, not a bad follow-up. I'm pretty happy with that. Go Forest. Mountain, collect, mountain, Ground Shaker. Start collecting off our own wells. I'm going to play this a little bit differently. We're going to play this a bit more like Green Yellow Sack, now that we have the Yakapult already. Just exploring the mountain, okay. So Flame Burst, obviously pretty sad here. Or maybe even a Gyarados on the follow-up. We'll see what land comes down. Might be a lake here. Might be playing against Gemshell Tortoise. Could be playing against Mono Red. Divine Guardian could also... Well, Divine Guardian could mean Gemshell Tortoise. It could mean a Mono Red control. Lots of different decks could run. This could be a burn deck. You never know. I haven't seen burn in a long time. The old list that Lou came up with a lot with the event burn, which is like a red yellow hybrid, and you use the Divine Guardians. You burned a lot, but it does look like it's going to be a Gemshell Tortoise deck, a bargain variant. So this is looking very similar to the list I played way back in the early episodes of Become a God. So I am going to need a power-up. Yeah, I'm going to need a power-up for my Yakapult to play around Double Firestorm. I can Crackthorn Beast, I guess. Let's say it's an option. Alright. Just passing. We have so much Faeria to work with. It's interesting, these control style matchups, because I'm not really going to be doing much. My opponent's not going to be doing much. Maybe I need to be a bit more proactive when it comes to this style of matchup. But we'll see. Blazing Salamander. That's interesting. Let's go for the Yakapult. And hope for the best. Just hope there isn't Double Firestorm. Ugh, Double Firestorm would be pretty brutal. I do have a decent follow-up. I can follow up the Ground Shaker, which at least challenges the Archon here. I didn't want to play the Ground Shaker first because I was a little hesitant on running into that Double Firestorm. But if the Double Firestorm comes down now, am I that bothered? I'm not sure. Might see a Frogify, maybe Frogify Firestorm. Some decks run. It's hard to get a good read on what Gemshell actually has. It is going to be the Frogify. So I'm going for that Frogify line into the Magnus. Ugh. It's a pretty scary Magnus there. Though its reach is limited, so I can control, at least to an extent, what this Magnus can get up to. So let's just move these back. Guess we can take a draw as well. Ground Shaker. Yeah, let's pass. Sitting on a lot of Faeria. We've almost got enough for Aurora's Dream, guys. Why am I not running that card in this deck? So the plan here is to try and get a really strong Salamander and potentially a Crackthorn combo to follow up with it. Okay. Playing it safe, I see. Wow, this is complex. I'm not entirely sure what I should do here. I could roll a Crackthorn out first and see what happens. Power-ups could be relevant, although I'm pretty much out of range when it comes to creatures and dealing with the Archon and the King. Maybe I can preserve the frog. Maybe I can just go for land, and jump my frog up here to challenge the Divine Guardian. And then I can get an aggressive Crackthorn in later on. So let's do that to start off with. This can actually hit everything now, which is kind of sad. All right, we'll go for a Crackthorn. Okay, got some power-ups at least. We'll take a Salamander here. Then we can clear this out. Put a Bone Collector in this position. I'll pass. So, I can't really stop the King from getting its value. That's just not going to happen. As much as I would love to stop this King, it's not happening. This King can kind of go wherever it wants and get as much value as it wants. It gets value. See, I maybe shouldn't play the Bone Collector, actually. I've given it value. I was thinking, like, oh, I was going for a mountain, okay. Okay, maybe this is fine. Like, because even if this King hits here... Firestorm? Oh, this is so difficult to deal with. The amount of AoE this deck can pump out, I feel this is probably a bad matchup simply because... yeah, this ain't happening, is it? This is just not happening. The snowball potential is just too great. I guess this isn't too bad. Can I at least get to clear this? But my opponent can clear my board now. It's just here, clear, there. Gem Shell's just got great value off as well. This Divine Guardian continues to collect. Just gonna go face. Oh, I guess you could just go face and clear this one, since I'm not in reach of killing this yet. Unless it's just double Firestorm off the Gemshell Tortoise, it's just double Firestorm. You know, I've been playing a bit today, and I've noticed there's a lot of... Oh my goodness, are you serious? Yeah, okay. That was just the... I think my opponent just had the perfect game there. There's not a lot I can do about that. Not to say my play wasn't bad. Like, I drew great cards, but in this matchup, it's just not going to happen. And I think I've learned that now. This is the third time I've played against Gemshell today. And I haven't... Actually, I did win one game, but it was very lucky. I just had to smoke with like a Raccoon Reveler and a Yak. It was very, very lucky. But yeah, Gemshell, not a good matchup for this deck. Let's get on to our next game. Alright guys, another match. Hopefully we can get a win on the board this time. This actually looks pretty good. Could even keep this, but I am going to throw this, see what we get. Firestorm, a bit expensive, but he's going to cost one forest, so we can start building towards the Firestorm straight away. Hopefully, we're not playing against Gemshell Tortoise again. I'd like to see some other matchups. Sturdy Shell, okay. That is some spice. Let's challenge it at least. Let's just say, you know what, Sturdy Shell? If you come down too close, the Gami Warrior is going to be ready to take care of it. As much as I would have liked to save it for Firestorm, realistically, I do need to stick a forest on the other side of my orb so I can start collecting off my wells. So is this an enchant deck? Is this a blue 7s? It's hard to say right now. Don't see much Sturdy Shell anymore. It's gonna be a water elemental. So it is some mono blue deck. It could even be Dream Reaver. The enchant version of Dream Reaver. And that would actually line up with the Sturdy Shell. If I was to make that read. Yep, just keeps laking. I wish this was the other way around now, but not a lot I can do, unfortunately. Alright, so I'm moving up because I have the Cypher's Wrath, so even if this gets enchanted and cleared, I can follow up with the Cypher's Wrath, and then my opponent doesn't have anything in this in between the wells, which is fine. I'm happy with that. Ooh, library. Very early as well. Tyrannax. Not a card I see very often. I am just not drawing at all here. I'm going to actually save for the Firestorm. Yeah, I'm just not getting anything, unfortunately. Yeah, let's put a mountain here. Let's make Sturdy Shell's life a bit more difficult. I could actually go for the Salamander. It's kind of a waste in some ways because I don't get full value, but I do set up a double collector. And I think that's just a little better than waiting for Firestorm, actually. We pay 6 Faeria for a 2/5. It's pretty bad if you consider that Ground Shaker is a 5/6 that deals 1 damage to everything. But we do get that double collector, and that's pretty important, because Tyrannax is more than likely just going to move here next turn. And I've kind of come to accept that my Bone Collector's probably not going to live. I don't know, I do have Gift of Recoil. If I pick up a creature that I can play, I could be in a decent position. Let's have a look here. So if I go for the mountain, I gift the Recoa, so I get +1/+1, +2/+2. So I go up to a 3/5, and I could Firestorm. Actually, I could clear the board. Yeah, let's go for that. It's a shame we don't get to collect off this well, but we have board control now at least. My opponent can Dream Reaver. Pretty bad. But we'll see what my opponent gets up to. It's not being able to stop this library. It's been... Oh no, the Aurora's Trick! Of course. Aurora's Trick, just such a strong card right now. Now it has a double collector on the left-hand side. Emperor's Command? Emperor's Command? Wow, okay. That is a turn. Oh, my little Reveler. No way good to play the Reveler, unfortunately, so I guess I'll just go for Crackthorn Beast next turn and hope there's not a Frogify. Frogify would be devastating. But we could just see a Dream Reaver come down. Yeah. Okay, I think this is just game, guys. I don't think I can come back from this. Since I've started playing more defensively with the Crackthorn style, it hasn't really worked out for me, has it? Maybe I should go up the sides and try playing that way. I mean, I could just play a Crackthorn here and put a 7/7, but it doesn't really matter because the Dream Reaver can just kill it. And then the Tyrannax is just going to finish me off. So, yeah, we'll call it that one, guys. So, another loss, unfortunately. I'm just getting a lot of control decks. I feel this Crackthorn deck does better against mid-range and aggro. Because you have just so much great reactive removal. But against slower decks like these, they're just going to win the long game. Yakapult usually isn't a great win condition compared to stuff like Dream Reaver and Gemshell Tortoise. So yeah, these greedy control decks are getting me right now. Hopefully, we'll play against like a rush deck or something, and we can see how this deck plays when it's able to react to what your opponent's doing near your orb. Alright guys, into our next match. Things have been a little hairy the last 2 games, and we're now going up against Gelgoog. Like I said, I'm just hoping we get a non-control deck going into this game. And it looks like we are going to start off with some mountains, making sure we can get that ground shaker down to start harvesting. We also have some combo removal to go with that, so we can use a Cypher's Wrath. But let's see what's happening here from Gelgoog. Alright, so this is where we can see the strength of the deck, potentially. Because I feel this deck's probably at its strongest when it's reacting to Rush, because you can get these great Salamander plays off. Crackthorn is really annoying. There's a lot of AoE removal. Bone Collectors can get out of control. I don't really have the hand I'd like. You can't have it all. That's the truth. You can't have it all. I'm actually going to take a land here because I do want to get a Yakapult in the future. One thing I've been trying to do against Rush when I play Yakapult decks is getting that central land. Even when I play the jump-in Reaver deck, I do want to lay here because against Rush, I can just dash a Dream Reaver straight up here if I need to. Now this does open up my opponent to take the well spot. We'll see what happens. Wind Gate, okay. Moves here. Just get that extra... Yeah, that's really good actually. Just gets that extra hit in. Yep. Okay, so Blazing Salamander. Absolutely fantastic. Let's get that down. Let's move the Ground Shaker up. So we'll take the Ground Shaker as our defender, and then we'll move the Salamander as our collector. 13 Faeria to work with, 3 cards. This Windgate can take a desert here or a desert here. I'll just double neutral and use the Windgate to move. Could like double neutral here, play like a monk, and then collect, hit, and then move the Windgate into this spot to protect it. Yeah, going for the double neutral line. Play the monk as I said, and then you can move. You can shift the Windgate into this slot, which is really good. Another monk. Prayer. Maybe like a... Is that Choking Sands? Oh, Choking Sands, okay. So now we want to find another Ground Shaker. Ideally. Now I could go for... a collect... I don't feel like I'm in the position I can collect at this point. Let's just go for double ciphers, or just one ciphers. Let's save the Faeria and just clear this one out. At least this way we can play Crackthorn Beast next turn. We need to preserve as much Faeria as possible to make sure we can follow up on the next turn with something with a threat. You know, Crackthorn Beasts, other pieces of removal. I have some great options, to be fair. I have like the Crackthorn, the Firestorm, and the Cypher. That is all the followers have been drawn right now. Madness. And 2 monks. So there's 1 monk left. 3 Wind Soldiers. This is pretty terrifying. That's going to be a Demon Wrangler for sure. No, Zealous Crusader. Okay. It's pretty big considering, right? Which means I can't kill the wind gate. It's so annoying. Because now I'm probably gonna have to Cypher's Wrath. Oh, maybe I have to Crackthorn as well. And a Mace Man. Oh my goodness. Ground Shaker. That's a pretty good draw. Just a little sad this isn't a mountain, so I can't play a Ground Shaker in front of my orb. But I can play it here. I can actually play it here because the Mace Man's going to move in this position, and then my Ground Shaker can shimmy across and finish off the Mace Man. So that's not too bad. We'll take +1. So if we need land next to him for Crackthorn Beast, we can just build it. If not, we can just +1 again if we need to Firestorm. Oh yeah, we won't be able. Sorry, no, we won't be able to play Crackthorn Beast. We're going to be one short. See, I was hoping for Rush, and now I'm just getting battered by it. But to be fair, my opponent had 3 followers, 2 prayers, 2 monks in the early game. That is just very difficult to deal with for any deck, to be honest. And now I'm in the position where I probably just lose because there's going to be a Wind Soldier. So I have to Firestorm, I guess? Maybe not. This gets Soul Drained and I can't react on the follow-up. I don't know. I think I've given up on this one, guys. It's just... Oh, man. I really hate Yellow Rush when it does that. It's just like, what can you do? What can you do? You just lose. It's just like, oh, you called heads and you flipped a coin and you got heads and you picked up all the stuff you needed. It's just like, I think there's a lot of decks in a game which are quite fair. Because if they all draw good hands, you know, it kind of evens out a little bit. But Yellow Rush is just one of those decks. Or Rush in general, I think, like the strong Rush decks, if they draw a really good hand, it's just impossible to beat them. I have no healing in the deck. I just died to a Wind Soldier now. And this happened last episode. I was in the same miserable situation last episode. Where my opponent, when I played against Satyrus, and he just drew the nuts, and I was just like, yeah, I can't do anything. You drew amazing cards. Yeah, that's going to be it. So yeah, I lost the Yellow Rush again, and just because I couldn't stop the triple follower, double monk, double prayer. It's just, it doesn't matter how much removal you have, if your opponent has a hand like that, it just gives so much gas. Like, my opponent just has so much Faeria. Like, I couldn't starve my opponent resources when they get a hand like that, because they're just drawing cards, they're gaining Faeria, they're dealing damage, they're powering up the Zealous Crusaders. It's just hopeless. But yeah, that is going to conclude that match. Let's get into our last one, and hopefully it'll be a little bit better. Alright guys, last game is going to be another blue-red deck. I know that for certain. I have played against Neo 3 times today. This is my 3rd match. It's currently 1-1. And there's a hidden surprise in Neo's deck. It's called Meteor. Unless he's changed deck, we'll see. We'll see what comes down first. But I have been meteored 3 times today by Neo. And the 2nd time I forgot Meteor was... Well, I didn't necessarily forget. He gem-shelled into 2 meteors. Which is pretty nuts if you think about it. So this time I'm going to change my strategy. We are going to build... We're just going to build up. We're just going to play aggressively here. And yeah, I was actually talking about earlier when I beat Gemshell with this deck. It was just so close. I had like a Yak and a Rakoan Reveler chipping away. My opponent actually set up a good defense by top deck Cypher's Wrath a Yakapult to finish it off. So yeah, it was a very close game, you could say. The thing is, I need to split my lands up. Because I really don't want to run, I need to split my creatures up, I need to split my lands up. That's the most important thing. I want to move this into double collection, that's my plan. I might double ciphers this now, because it stops my opponent from harvesting, limits the resources going into the next turn. I am playing against control, and I'm playing against a slow deck as well, which needs to build 5 mountains in order to meteor me. So let's just kill that Faeria generation, let's just keep collecting, and that worked out fantastic for me. So yeah, that's pretty good. I'm deciding, do I play more aggressive? Do I go up? Try and get an aggressive ground shake? I think so. I think I'm just going to do this. It's a little unconventional, considering the style of deck I'm playing But this is going to allow me to mountain here. The mountain here means if I do apply enough pressure and my opponent is in a jam, meteor on his own lands is just fine for me. You crack on. If you want to meteor your own lands, I'm on board with that. That's something I support. So I'm trying to create pressure to force my opponent into a meteor situation, which is just not good for my opponent, because even though I did beat Neo once and Neo has beaten me once, the time I did beat Neo, it wasn't convincing at all. It was kind of lucky, really. And I feel like I've learned at least a little bit since then. Gonna explore. So, see, respecting that, I can build a land there. Bold bargainer, okay. I guess I could mountain on here and go for the ground shaker. That's not too bad. Like I said, we still need to apply pressure. I was considering going for a forest here and then start collecting off this well, or even just double neutral along here. And my opponent might double neutral to stop me, but my opponent also needs special lands. And it needs 5 mountains for a meteor. So I was considering my options in terms of aggressive land play. If this ground shaker lives, I'll be pretty happy because I can move here. Yeah, this is pretty good. So I can move here, move up. Let's get an aggressive forest in here. Clear this out. We'll just pass. So we could see a Firestorm come down. We could see like Firestorm Garadan, depending on the cost reduction from those 2 bargain cards. It would kill the Bone Collector. It'd actually clear my board, but it would cost everything at least. And then hopefully I can just get a mountain somewhere around here. So I'm just going to curve my lands this way. Just to, like I said, just make Meteor as awkward as possible. Oh wow, okay. Yep, we're just going to pass. We're just going to poke for 5 damage there. Like I said, we built the lands around, so we know one more mountain meteor is fine, so the mountain could come down here, or it could come down here. I could even just double neutral across, and then I have like this widespread amount of land. Like, this is obviously the best target right now because it kills a lot of my lands, but it doesn't really have anything of value it kills in terms of creatures. It's just going to kill a 3/4. So I'm just going to make sure my creatures are really spread out, or they're on my opponent's lands. Red Devil. Okay, Red Devil. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Firestorm. Takes care of the Ground Shaker. So there's no point building land here now because my opponent can just step on it and make lands in here. So let's take a draw. Crackthorn Beast, that's pretty good. All these little weenies running around the board. Red Devil, kind of sad on the right-hand side there. Ground Shakers is pretty good here. It's pretty decent. It's going to kill my 3/1 and my 2/1. Leave my little Reveler alive. I'm looking for a good Crackthorn Beast next turn. That's the plan. Let's get a really good Crackthorn Beast down. Hopefully get some power-ups on the Bone Collector and stuff. I could even position the Crackthorn Beast quite... So I could move here, Crackthorn here, and then Salamander all 3. Or I could Crackthorn here, and then Salamander all 3. So that's some pretty interesting options in terms of Crackthorn and Salamander. Could even dash it over here and block the collection. That's not bad. Yeah, let's do that. Let's stop some collection going on. We could still run into Meteor. I need to be cautious of that. Ah, that's a shame. I take my opponent down to 2. That might just be worth it because I'll get a refund anyway. Oh, there we have it. I was going to say, I would get a refund anyway from a Rakoan dying. Because the power, I'll get like a 2 Faeria refund from the 2 Faeria power up. But there we have it. I did actually beat Gemshield, but I think one of my main advantages during that match was the information I had. I knew there was going to be Meteor. I knew I had to spread my lands out, spread my creatures out. So from playing against Neo previously, it gave me that little bit of an edge of information, which is difficult sometimes to gain against these blue-red control decks because they can be built in so many ways. You can go bargain. You could probably go like a Mochi build or something. You could go for a Yakapult build even. There's so many different ways to build Gemshell decks right now. And the same goes for the green-red Crackthorn. This is Dilgarno's variant of green-red Crackthorn, using the Salamanders and using some ideas that Dompork had as well. So just a blend of the two. But yeah, good game. And that wraps up this episode of Become a God, and it does conclude this season of Become a God as well. We are at the end of the Faeria season, so players are going to hit God rank, get their card back, get all their lovely rewards as well, and then we'll move on next week into Become a God Season 3. I have been reading your comments actually about some of the things you would like to see. You'd like to see me play some experimental decks, so maybe that would require a new series that experiments with these decks and these archetypes that don't get much light on the ladder or in competitive play, so I'll definitely consider that going into the next season. If you like this video, be sure to give it a thumbs up, and if you haven't already, drop a subscribe to keep up to date of when our content goes live. This episode didn't go as well as I planned, but that's kind of card games in general. You can't always have a good day. You will have your bad days, and you will have your bad draws, and your opponents will have their good draws as well. Just remember that Yellow Rush, who's been pestering me all this week, but hopefully going into next week, we'll see less Yellow Rush. We'll see some more fun decks. But I hope you guys enjoyed the season of Become a God, and I hope you guys will check out all the previous episodes if you haven't watched them. And yeah, I look forward to moving into next week, starting up again. I really want to get into gear with Jumping Reaver. That's probably where I'll start with Become a God. I love that deck, and I'd like to play it some more. And yeah, I hope you guys get to God rank. I hope you guys enjoy your rewards and enjoy your weekend. So until next time, guys, take care and enjoy Dilgarno's green-red Crackthorn.